Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights. It's TEDA time.
Living in Terrebonne, living in Terrebonne. You sure won't want to miss it, and I'll bet that you'll revisit. Living in Terrebonne.
Local Terrebonne Parish Economic News.
Hello and welcome to this edition of TEDA Time. I'm your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it very, very much. And today is a special TEDA Time. I've got some friends and colleagues here that I've known for years. But most importantly, Mr. Cohen B. Guidry has deferred today to our favorite person here, Miss Catherine Gilbert. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Keith. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us. First, Catherine Gilbert Terrio. I always do that because Kathy and I have been knowing each other since Knee-High Grasshopper.
Something like that.
That's exactly right. Glad you're here. Thank you for making the set so much more beautiful already today.
Oh, thank you so much.
We appreciate it. Joining her, Mr. Brian Bunn. Brian, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. And next to him is Mr. Nicholas Hebert.
Good morning, sir.
And we'll call you Nicholas because Mama said so.
That's it.
All right, very good. Always want to do that. Well, gentlemen and Kathy, thank you all so very much for joining us. And more importantly, for being such a part of downtown, its restoration, its beautification. And oh my God, has downtown Houma come a long way in a short period of time. Just a lot of focus on making that better, right, Kathy?
Well, absolutely. You know, back in the day, Houma Main Street and downtown was the artery for commerce.
Yep.
And as growth occurred, kind of pulled some of those services away. But a lot of organizations have been working very hard to restore some of that economic vitality, that vibrancy that we look for in a downtown. It's having a vibrant downtown from an economic development standpoint is nearly as important as having a shovel-ready industrial site. You know, it's part of that fabric that a company is going to look for when they're evaluating this community as its next home. So,
well, I got to tell you, some of the people that work downtown, some of the people that are there, it's remarkable to hear and see the impact of. We often have some 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks in a row of events downtown, and people are just thriving and really wanting to come downtown. The businesses are thriving, and more importantly, Houma and Terrebonne is thriving, and it's attractive to people.
absolutely. You can see people walking around downtown nearly every day of the week, engaging, going to the coffee shop with services, a little shopping, going to the theater, having dinner, all those types of things. And that's really what we want to foster, is more of that. And that's why we've invited the Houma Restoration Board, Brian and Nick, here today.
Right.
To highlight some of the projects that they're doing, some of the things they have done, and some opportunities that are coming, or that are actually are available now to businesses who want to invest in the downtown and the Houma Main Street area.
Yeah, and Brian, that's a big deal for you guys, right?
Yes.
I mean, y'all are. And how long have you been on the board? By the way?
Since its inception, we're going on. It'll be 2 years in August, I believe.
Okay, and we've got some powerful people on that board.
We do.
Really making a difference.
Yes, we have Mr. Noel Eret, who is one of the owners of By Terrebonne Distilleries. He's also the Terrebonne Parish
Chief
lost the word.
Administrative Officer.
Chief Administrative
right.
Officer.
Right.
We have Mr. Daniel Babin, who owns Jam Up Marketing and also spends a lot of his free time in helping foster good things downtown.
Right.
We have Mr. Nick Hebert, of course, Nicholas Hebert,
Nicholas,
sitting
right.
next to
Sorry,
me,
Mom.
with Allstate. Another one who spends a lot of his free time with various organizations such as the Chamber and this, and always willing to lend a hand with whomever. We have Mr. Jason Underwood with Shore Tank. He has the apartments downtown on the corner of Roussel and Main, and they've done an amazing job in getting that back into shape, and it's a beautiful building. If you haven't visited, I recommend it. It's something to see. We have Mr. Tom Hassel, who has a wealth management company, also downtown. Mr. Kevin Falk, I believe he's with Lamar if I'm not mistaken, Nicholas, who does a lot of advertising locally and I'm sure statewide. We have myself, we have Miss Sandra Corbett with Explore Houma, and we have Mr. Clarence Williams, who is our newest addition to the board.
Okay. And you forgot to say Brian Bond with Lumiere and so many other things. And
Done a few things. He's
brought
done a few things
first,
downtown.
The first Weenie Spaghetti Festival, which was incredible.
Yeah, I was part of that. Myself and Daniel Babin, the guys from Nanknu.
Right.
It was really a tremendous event. A lot of people, a lot of folks.
Well, and again, you mentioned and again, I ask about the rest of the board because of the impact downtown, but more importantly, the impact on our parish.
Yeah.
Like those are all very well respected people whom when they say, hey, I'd like to do something, everybody goes, okay, when, where, when do we show up?
We have people in this parish who are always willing to give of their time as volunteers for these events. And it's really, really cool because it helps bring the community together. And I know I've said that with you on numerous occasions, but it's really special to see when folks come together for the betterment of our downtown area. And we have a lot of good folks here downtown and throughout the parish that come out and give of their time to create these events and make them special.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, Nicholas, certainly want to get into all of the things that you're doing and have done. We're going to do that at the beginning of the next segment, if that's okay with you. But Kathy, it's just really interesting to be able to see if we were to just sit here and talk about the events that have made a difference, we would be here for several hours. Because people, it's almost reunion-ish to be able to go downtown. I mean, I got to see people that graduated 2 years before us, the year before us, the year with us, a year after, 2 years after, 6 weeks in a row downtown at festivals that it was just, hey, get to see our friends again. But it was like that from 1 to 99. We had a 90-year-old, 95-year-old person out there and a friend of mine who brought their 6-week-old. Like, it was remarkable to me. And so I appreciate all of that. So thank y'all all. We'll get a lot more information. Take a short break. We'll be back on TEDA Time. Is that okay?
Sure.
That's
All right,
great.
guys, you do it with us as well. We'll be right back, right here on TEDA Time.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.
Hello and welcome back to this edition of TEDA Time. Again, your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker here with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you are joining us. Very glad to have Kathy and Brian and Nicholas with us. And so, Nicholas, I apologize. The three of us tend to be talkers. We kept you out. But 2 years on the board, tell me what it's like to be a part of this board and the impact that we feel here in our community.
Sure. So I've been blessed, Keith, to be on a lot of boards and serve on a lot of them. And HRD, Houma Restoration District, has been one of the more rewarding ones simply because I think of timing and resources, right? So from a timing standpoint, it came right after Ida. Representative Tanner McGee put together this board at the state legislature, created it with a state act, and then funded it. We started off the process with $1 million, and then now we've been allocated another $1 million in the latest round of capital outlay. So well funded to commit to a lot of things downtown. And we hit the ground running. Brian listed off the board members we have, and everybody came to the table ready to go.
Wow.
So while we were waiting on the state, we didn't sit on our hands. We really started putting together ideas, concepts, cooperative endeavor agreements, a lot of legal stuff you need to do behind the scenes.
Right.
So when the funding came in, we were ready to go.
I love it. And what a great idea to be able to say, you know what, we just weren't sitting around. We got the money and like, all right, y'all already have the plans in place. Let's talk about some of the things that have been achieved.
Sure, yeah. So we were able to, one of the first things we did is we created a public amenities grant. Okay. And through that grant process, we were able to purchase the Christmas decorations, brand new decorations for the downtown district. And the part of that amenity grant is to really create features and help nonprofits or for-profits do things in that downtown district that add a public aspect to it, such as the Christmas decoration. So we
Okay.
were able to do that. We were able to partner up with parish government and complete Bayou Walk and the renovations and updates to Bayou Walk. There was a lot of problems there with drainage and just collapsing into the bayou. So we were able to participate in that and help improve that and restore it and extend it. All right, so we've now extended Bayou Walk. And you hear a lot of board members, Noah in particular, talk about how the Bayou Terrebonne is an asset to the downtown area. It's an asset to the community. It's been the artery for a lot of things in Terrebonne Parish for a long time, but unfortunately it's been very neglected. And so our focus is there. That's one of those things that obviously runs right through the middle of the district. So it's important to us, which is why we've also got out for bid right now, currently working with engineers on a lighting project for the downtown, for the Bayou Walk area, and really brighten some things up. I think, the Rotary did a great job with Rotary Plaza, fantastic element downtown. And it shows you how important lighting is and how it just adds life. And that's what we're focused on for the Bayou Walk and the Bayou Terrebonne Lighting Project we have coming up.
I got to tell you just quickly a picture my wife and I took. We were at dinner downtown, and we took a picture in Rotary Park, and the lights behind it. Our family didn't believe us that we were in Houma.
That's right.
They wouldn't. It looks like you're in Vegas.
Yeah.
Right. With the beautification and all these, with the millions of lights on Fulton Street, but it's right there. So you're right about lighting. It can make a tremendous impact. Yeah.
And just so folks know that the lighting that we will do on the Bayou Walk will mirror what is at the plaza.
There at Century. Wow.
So it's a collection of thoughts that we're going to bring together eventually, where they are both in sync with one another.
Wow. So they kind of match, if you will.
Yeah.
Consistency of downtown. What's some things, we got about 2.5 minutes left. What are some other things coming up?
Yeah.
Nick?
So
Sorry.
while we're talking about Rotary Plaza, another project the district undertook was adding sound and audio and video, complete package to that Rotary Plaza aspect. So now you got the music, and you saw it at Christmas time, but then it's also, there's a screen for productions and all that element there, so we can have either whether it's music, whether it's a video presentation, movies. There've been all kind of discussions with the downtown development and parish government of what things they can do and program, and having those aspects of audio and video down there now really add to that.
Enhance
it a lot.
Very good.
So we've got that. We've put a crew, we've contracted with a subcontractor to do maintenance in the area as far as cleanup, keep it fresh. It's hard for the parish government to really tackle all of downtown on a daily basis.
Right.
They do the best they can, but they're spread out across the
They're
whole parish.
stretched. Right.
And it was important for us to have our district, because our district, for those who don't know, we are Park and Main from Grand Caillou Road on the east side all the way to Morgan Street. So, but it's just that kind of artery right there. It's not 4 blocks off, it's right there.
Right.
So it was important for us, since we had that district and we had the funding, let's make sure it's kept up, well-maintained, and clean. Right.
Yeah, interestingly enough, as we got about a minute left here, I used to work in the Bloom and Badgerell building, which is now the distillery. And so I walked through there, and it's, I can point out where I knew people worked in certain areas. And so it's a great area. But I will tell you, the last 3 times that I've been downtown, the bayou has been far cleaner than I've ever seen it in my lifetime. So 50 years back, the last 5, it's been far cleaner than it's ever been.
Well, and I'll tell you, as an example, so we did I'm on the board of the Chamber of Commerce as well, and we were doing a walkthrough just kind of downtown, just updating some of our board members and ambassadors of what's going on downtown, kind of similar to what we're doing today.
Right.
And we noticed a large debris item in the bayou. By that walkthrough was at 3 o'clock. By 5:30, I had a phone call from Norris Boudreau, from Mr. Tommy Boudreau, and they were already removing it out of the bayou.
Picking it up.
It's really, they're on it.
Things are happening.
They're really paying attention to it.
Money makes a difference. Grants make a difference. We're going to take a short break, come back and talk about what this grant and what it can do for us.
Looking forward to it.
Very cool. All right, guys, you join us as well. We'll be right back right here on TEDA Time.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
Hello and welcome back to this edition of TEDA Time. Again, your host, Keith Whiteside. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it. I'm glad to be joined by friends and colleagues, Kathy, Brian, and Nicholas. And Nicholas, we were talking a little bit about downtown. We can only do it with some of the funding. I love the fact that we had this funding come through that Tanner McGee kind of got started for us. But you guys have been able to build on that really to access other areas, right, and grants.
Right. So when you get capital outlay money like that, it's important to be able to leverage it for your community and leverage it for us for the downtown district. So that's why we created 2 new grant programs on top of the public amenity grant that we created last year. So we now have an engineering design grant and a facade grant. So starting with the engineering design grant, that's a $50,000 match grant for private citizens or businesses looking to develop or enhance buildings in the downtown district. Engineering and design can go towards basically what it says: engineering a building, designing a building, restoring a building, all those aspects that when you undertake a project, because some of our buildings downtown are very old and some of them are in very bad condition. That's a big undertaking. So this $50,000 grant going towards that helps that new business owner kind of get on their feet a little bit or get that idea that maybe that cost prohibitive. Now with this grant, now we can get the project rolling. And that's kind of something that really got inspired by one of our board members, Mr. Jason Underwood, who had kind of did a similar project at 7887 Main, where their commercial space and living on residential on the top. So it's kind of, he went through some of his struggles and really has been an asset to the board. And that's why we thought this engineering design grant would be beneficial.
Right.
So the grants themselves are matching grants. So when you apply, you fill out the grant application, you lay out your entire project with a cost. We review it, and then we match up to, so on the facade grant, the value of the grant is $25,000 matched. So up to $50,000, if your facade is going to run upwards of $50,000, there's the strong possibility that we will pay $25,000 of that.
Wow.
And with the engineering and design, it's $50,000.
It's just matched.
Yeah. So from a property owner's aspect, that's $75,000 worth of free cash sitting out there waiting for their project to start. So we hope people take interest in it and put forth the effort to get this stuff filled out and to us, because we're ready to give them some money and get these things started.
Okay. Well, how do they go about doing that? What is the process for reaching out to you guys?
So there are 2 applications. The engineering and design grant has its own, facade has its own.
Right.
Public amenity too. They all 3 kind of grants have their own applications that are running by. Currently, we're in the process of building out a website that'll have all the information, all the detail. But in the meantime, Ms. Sandra Corbett, the Tourism Commission, Houma Tourism, has been gracious enough to be our secretary. So you can email her, scorbett@explorehouma.com.
S. Corbett.
Yep, CORBITT.
BITT. Yeah, I knew it was an I.
At explorehouma.com.
Okay.
And she has the applications, and that's where you submit them, and then they come to the board for full review. We also meet as a board. We have public meetings the first Tuesday of every month. And we're in the council room now on the 2nd floor, Government Tower. And that's at lunch, 11 o'clock meetings. So the public can come, kind of see what's going on. If they have any questions about the grant program, we're there to answer them. We conduct our normal business as well there at that time. So facade grant, obviously, just what it says for the facade of the building, signage out front, exterior facing. One of the things we're focused on, highly focused on, I'll say that, is the appearance of downtown. Kind of tying in with the lighting, what everybody's noticing. As you shine light on things, you improve things, and then people feel safer. They feel more comfortable. That's all aesthetics. And that's really a focus of our board, is to improve the aesthetics of downtown, as well as the economic diversity, the economic development, all those things tied together.
And so we're changing the culture as well. I mean, because all of us, you mentioned the safety of it. You know, better lighting gives for better safety, where maybe, you know, some young women can go down there, feel comfortable, and say, I'm not saying that it's not, but there's been a time when we as men go, I don't know if I want my wife going down there kind of by herself. Y'all are changing that. We're changing that dynamic.
Well,
we're changing the
that's
culture
it.
of downtown.
You know, these grants have the ability to help be transformational in downtown along Main Street. And, you know, as Brian said, $75,000 on the table for a project. Now let's take that. If it's a historic project, let's stack some tax credits on top of that.
Right.
There's an opportunity to invest and have some assistance in the project that maybe wasn't there before, definitely
Right.
wasn't there before with these grants.
That's correct.
Right.
And it's really important for us to try to communicate that out, you
Right.
know, and as always, you know, TEDA's here to help.
Right.
If you forget who to contact,
Right. Reach out to
contact
TEDA. Absolutely.
We will put you in contact. We will help you in any way, shape, or form that we can to facilitate these types of partnerships.
Yeah, and so as we've all kind of gotten hit hard in these, you know, but you know, with all of the different problems that we've had, everybody knows about those. But coming out of COVID, coming out of Ida, here's some opportunities where these are grants, not loans.
That is correct.
Exactly.
This money.
This is
not-
money that people don't have to pay back. It's a way for that y'all have decided to help our downtown community and say, come and do the application and just see. It's upwards of $75,000 for your.
A lot of folks, when they look at these things, the first thing that comes to mind is government and how cumbersome it can be. These applications that we have for these two particular grants are very easy to fill out.
Simple.
It is not cumbersome. It's easy. And if you need any help in the event that you do, we are here to help you get them filled out.
Well,
we want you to do this.
Absolutely. Well, Nicholas, thank you very much. We appreciate the education and information. Brian, thank you for what you're doing and what the board is doing. And Kathy, as always, thank you for being such a great representative of TEDA and what y'all do.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate your time today.
Absolutely. All right, guys, that'll do it for this particular TEDA time. Don't go anywhere. A lot more local programming right here on HTV.